Stand inside Rome near the end of its power. Stone buildings surround you, water runs through raised channels, crowds move through streets that have existed longer than anyone alive. Its laws reach across continents. Its armies protect borders far away. Its money is accepted almost everywhere. Now imagine telling someone in this city that Rome is already collapsing. Not in 1,000 years. Not slowly over centuries. Soon, the response would be instant. The empire is too large. The system is too strong. Rome has survived everything before. Stand in America now. Skyscrapers stretch into the sky. Screens flash numbers that move global markets. The dollar sets prices far beyond its borders. If you said America is moving faster toward collapse than Rome ever did, most people would dismiss it. The economy is advanced. The technology is unmatched. The system is different now. That belief is where Rome once stood. Rome did not collapse because enemies broke through the gates. It collapsed while daily life still looked normal. Before emperors ruled, Rome was a republic. Power came from citizens who worked their own land and fought when required. Wealth came from production, not borrowing. For generations, Rome used a silver coin called the denarius. When someone accepted it, they accepted real metal. No promise, no adjustment, no future excuse. Trade expanded because trust existed. Saving made sense. Long plans were possible. Roads connected distant cities. Aqueducts supplied growing populations. Soldiers were paid with coins they trusted. As Rome conquered more land, wealth poured into the capital. Gold and silver arrived faster than goods were produced. The population grew. Spending increased. Rome stopped producing and started consuming. Maintaining control became expensive. Armies stayed deployed far from home. Infrastructure needed constant repair. The city of Rome itself relied on free grain and entertainment to stay calm. Money began leaving faster than it entered. Reduced spending and risk unrest. Raised taxes and anger elites. Neither option protected power. So leaders found another solution. They altered the money. At first, the change was almost invisible. Coins looked the same. The emperor's face remained. The declared value stayed unchanged. Only the silver inside was reduced. The effect was immediate. More coins entered circulation. Payments were made. Obligations were covered. Pressure eased. Nothing collapsed. When the next crisis arrived, the solution was already known. Adjust the money again. Add more metal. Create more coins. Each decision avoided pain in the moment. Each decision weakened the base. Rome kept functioning. Markets stayed open. The streets stayed full. The games continued. The danger stayed hidden. Because collapse does not arrive loudly, it builds quietly while systems rely on shortcuts instead of strength. Once money stops reflecting reality, the system begins surviving on belief. Rome crossed that line while still believing it was untouchable. And that is exactly where this story starts to matter now. At first, Rome did not feel weaker, it felt busier. Coins moved faster through markets. Soldiers were paid without delay. Builders stayed at work. Grain kept arriving. Nothing stopped. Each time pressure appeared, leaders reached for the same fix. They did not argue anymore. They did not slow down. They issued more coins and moved on. As money spread, behavior changed. People stopped holding coins. They spent them quickly. Goods became safer than savings. Prices followed, not in a panic, not all at once. They climbed step by step. Bread cost more this season than last. Tools required extra payment. Rent followed behind. Rome reacted by doing more of what worked before. More coins entered circulation. The empire still functioned. Armies still marched. Cities stayed loud. Temples stayed full. But trust started slipping at the edges. Merchants shortened deals. Soldiers asked for bonuses. Suppliers wanted payment sooner. Long promises disappeared. It fixed prices. It threatened punishment. It demanded compliance. Trade adapted instantly. Goods vanished from open markets. Deals moved into private hands. Shortages appeared where abundance once lived. Rome blamed individuals. The system stayed untouched. To keep control, the empire spent more. Enforcement grew. Administration expanded. Payments increased. That required more money. By now, reversing course meant choosing pain. Cutting spending risked unrest. Raising taxes risked revolt. Restoring the currency risked collapse. No emperor wanted to be the one who pulled the brake. So they pressed forward. The army felt the shift next. Pay arrived slower. Supplies thinned. Posts felt abandoned. Loyalty weakened far from the capital. Rome still looked powerful from the center. From the edges, it looked uncertain. Each response solved the present problem and worsened the next one. Coins lost weight. Trust lost strength. Authority relied on habit. The empire kept moving because stopping felt worse. Decades of decline turned into years. Years turned into months. Once belief cracked, pressure rushed in, trade slowed. Cities relied on stored grain. Units deserted quietly. Borders leaked. It reached a point where every choice led to damage. The shortcut that once saved time now controlled every decision. There was no exit without collapse. And Rome took too long to realize that momentum is not stability. When the system finally broke, it broke everywhere at once. Enemies did not create the failure. They walked into it. Rome had already spent the strength that once protected it. The collapse looked sudden only to those watching from the Capitol. From inside the system, the warning signs had been stacking for years, with one decision repeated until it becomes the only one left. Stand in America after the shift. The dollar no longer sits quietly inside borders. It moves through oil contracts, shipping insurance, foreign reserves, and global loans. Decisions made in Washington now affect markets thousands of miles away within hours. After World War II, the United States steps into a role no country has held before. It becomes the center of trade settlement. The dollar becomes the unit others rely on to price goods, store value, and clear transactions. Factories run, wages rise, savings grow. Foreign nations hold dollars because they trust what those dollars can buy. America produces, America exports. The system feels earned. Military bases spread across continents. Commitments multiply. Wars last longer than planned. Spending grows faster than revenue. Each new promise assumes the system will carry it. By the late 1960s, foreign governments notice something off. Dollars are arriving faster than American gold reserves can support. Redemption requests increase. Shipments leave U.S. vaults. In 1971, the decision arrives. The United States closes the gold window. Dollars are no longer exchangeable for metal. The currency shifts from backing to belief in a single announcement. Nothing collapses that week. Stores stay open. Paychecks clear. Trade continues. The change feels technical, not dangerous. From that point forward, limits disappear. Spending no longer requires reserves. Debt no longer needs settlement. New dollars can be created to meet any obligation that arrives. Each crisis tests the tool. A recession hits. Liquidity increases. A war expands. Financing adjusts. A market stalls. Rates drop. The response works every time. Growth resumes. Markets recover. Pressure fades. Each time it works, the system uses it again. That reliability changes behavior. Borrowing replaces saving. Consumption outpaces production. Corporations restructure around cheap credit. Households stretch timelines. Governments delay trade-offs. By the 1990s, the system grows massive. Trillions move daily through channels tied to the dollar. Foreign reserves stack higher. Demand stays strong because alternatives feel risky. Imports rise while prices stay low and deficits grow without consequence. Then speed increases. After 2008, intervention becomes routine. Markets expect support. Institutions assume rescue. Balance sheets expand without restraint. Every response arrives faster than the last. By 2020, the scale breaks records. Trillions are created in months. Asset prices surge. Debt explodes. The system stays upright because confidence holds. But confidence is not infinite. As dollars multiply, their destination shifts. Money flows into assets instead of wages. Housing prices disconnect from income. Savings lose ground to inflation. Then pressure moves outward. Foreign holders begin adjusting timelines. Contracts shorten. Settlements diversify. Reserves rebalance quietly. No announcement is needed. Behavior changes first. America responds the only way it has learned. More liquidity enters. Access tightens. Sanctions expand. Enforcement increases. The system defends itself by demanding alignment. Each restriction creates workarounds that reduces dependence, weaken the center. The process does not reverse. It compounds. Inside the United States, strain becomes visible. Interest costs rise. Refinancing grows harder. Political fights slow decisions. Markets react faster than policy can respond. Treasury auctions require higher yields. Budgets assume continued demand. Any pause risks instability. Any reversal risks shock. The system now requires motion to survive. Unlike Rome, America cannot step back without affecting the entire structure. Withdrawal would ripple through markets tied to its currency. Delay would tighten pressure everywhere at once. That is the trap. The shortcut that once solved problems now dictates every move. Stopping creates pain faster than continuing. Continuing increases damage later. As confidence thins, choices narrow and reactions speed up. Small shifts trigger large responses. Volatility replaces stability. Planning horizons shrink. The center still looks strong. From the edges, adjustments are already underway. This is where the comparison sharpens. Rome altered its money to avoid immediate pain. America expanded its currency to sustain global obligation. Both decisions worked at first. Both decisions remove limits. Both systems relied on belief to replace backing. The difference is speed. Rome took centuries to reach the edge. America compressed the timeline into decades. By the time the pressure becomes undeniable, exits are limited. Every option carries consequence. Every delay increases cost. The system holds because it must. And that is exactly where the story turns next. Stand in America as time starts compressing. Markets still open every morning. Screens still flash green and red. Money still clears on schedule. From a distance, the system looks alive and responsive. But inside it, everything moves faster now. Deadlines no longer sit far apart. Decisions overlap. One problem arrives before the last one settles. The system never resets to neutral, it only reacts. In Washington, pressure stacks quickly, debt must roll on time. Budgets assume constant demand. Any pause forces action. Delay is not an option anymore. Markets feel this shift. They stop waiting for results. They move on expectations. A delayed signal moves prices. A weak response triggers instant reactions. Confidence now changes before explanations arrive. Speed replaces patience. When stress appears, the response comes immediately. Liquidity enters, guarantees expand, emergency tools activate without debate. What once felt extreme now feels routine, and it works. Markets stabilize, panic fades, the moment passes. Each success reinforces the method. The system learns that speed solves problems, so the next shock meets the same response. Intervention arrives faster, at larger scale, with fewer limits. Each time the fix works, the system leans on it harder. Behavior changes quietly. Risk spreads because protection feels reliable. Institutions assume support. Debt timelines stretch because refinancing feels guaranteed. Spending grows because access feels permanent. Nothing breaks, but balance thins. Interest costs rise beneath the surface. Servicing becomes heavier. Each adjustment costs more than the last one. The system still moves, but it requires motion to stay upright. Stopping becomes dangerous. When inflation pushes back, choices collide. Tightening strains markets, easing strains prices. Every option solves one problem while creating another, so decisions compress. Inside the country, pressure becomes visible. Housing drifts further from wages. Savings lose ground. Credit replaces patience. People adjust behavior without announcements. Outside the country, behavior shifts too. Settlement terms shorten. Reserves rebalance. Exposure reduces quietly. No one declares an exit. They simply stop leaning as hard. The dollar still dominates. But belief now comes with conditions. That matters, because belief carries systems longer than structure. When belief thins, speed increases. Adjustments happen faster than statements. America responds the way it always has. Support expands. Access tightens. Enforcement grows. Alignment becomes mandatory. The system pulls everything inward to hold control. This creates friction. Workarounds appear. Alternatives grow slowly. Not to replace the system, but to avoid being trapped inside it. Each shift looks small in isolation. Together, they accelerate change. Volatility replaces calm. Moves grow sharper. Reversals arrive faster. Planning windows shrink. Markets react before policy does. The system still functions. That is the danger, because function hides fragility. Every fix now depends on speed. Every response must be larger to have the same effect. Every delay costs more than before. Momentum replaces control. Slowing down feels reckless. Stopping feels impossible. Continuing feels required. That is the trap. At this stage, strength becomes rigidity. The system cannot change direction without causing damage it cannot absorb. The center still looks solid. Institutions still stand. Authority still speaks confidently. From the edges, adjustments are already underway. No announcement marks the shift. No single moment defines it. Pressure simply outruns coordination. When reactions arrive late, markets move first. When explanations follow, behavior has already changed. The system responds to echoes instead of events. This is where America differs. Rome took centuries to reach this point. America compressed it into decades. Technology speeds reactions. Markets amplify signals. Global exposure magnifies mistakes. Every error travels faster than correction. That is why the pace matters. By the time consequences feel obvious, room to maneuver is already gone. Options exist on paper, but not in practice. Every path carries immediate cost. The system holds together because it must, and that is exactly why it is fragile. What comes next is not collapse in one scene. It is compression. Events crowd closer. Errors multiply. Recovery windows disappear. People watching from the outside will say it happened suddenly. People inside the system will know it didn't. They will remember when speed replaced stability, when urgency replaced planning, when belief carried more weight than limits. That is where America stands now, not at the end, but moving faster than Rome ever did. And once speed becomes the only solution, the story no longer asks if something breaks, only how fast.